Well, I appear to be wearing the right attire today, given recent events that happened this week with the Bullet Club invading Monday Night Raw. They didn't really invade Raw so much. They kind of just stood outside the venue and trolled, which was funny. They posted the video up on YouTube. There's video footage of it. So yeah, Bullet Club, who was there? I think it was Marty Scurll, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and I know Brandy was there, and maybe one or two others that I'm forgetting. But Hangman Page was there. And they just decided to stop by Monday Night Raw and have a good time. And, they got some good zingers in there, like Cody going off on his speech. I won't spoil what he was referencing, but it was kind of funny. And Young Bucks standing outside going, "We're looking for Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Finn Balor. We are here to save you." We want our catchphrases back, even though they're really not the Bucks catchphrases. But and Cody's like, "I want my last name back," and stuff like that. It was really funny and worth checking out. So I'll post the link in the description. But if you haven't seen or heard anything about the Bullet Club's Monday Night Raw pit stop, you'll have the video down below. So there's that. But for this video, and I've got good number of videos planned for the rest of the week, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me this week than usual. But in this video, I'm here to review two shows that happened recently, two shows that I promised reviews for. Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor 15 and WWE's No Mercy 2017, the Raw exclusive pay-per-view that happened Sunday night. I'm going to start off with the WWE show since that's the one I think most people would want me to talk about. And so I'll start with that one. If you want to stick around for the Ring of Honor review, you may. Anyway, yeah, so No Mercy 2017, I've got the cards pulled up here, just so I remember the match order. But No Mercy 2017 was kind of an interesting show for me. It's the first full WWE show, not counting NXT. It's the first full WWE show I've watched since Battleground. For those of you who saw my Battleground review, knows that I kind of just threw my hands up in the air. I was like, fuck this, I'm done, I'm out, I can't waste any more of my life on WWE. And I stuck to it. I have not watched SmackDown since. I couldn't even tell you what's going on SmackDown right. Well, I mean, I've seen commercials for the Shane and Kevin Owens Hell in a Cell match, and I've heard a couple of things here and there, but I could barely tell you what's going on there. I have not seen Shelton Benjamin, for example. Somebody told me he's back, and apparently he's tagging with Chad Gable. I wouldn't know. I'm not watching, and I have not seen Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown at all. Raw, I have not watched a full episode of Raw since Battleground, and all I have watched are the bits with Braun Strowman, because that guy's awesome, and I want to watch him. And some of the stuff I heard he was doing was really good, so I wanted to keep up with it. And I thought the build-up to his match with Brock Lesnar was very good, and I wanted to keep up with that. And some of the John Cena Roman Reigns promos, where they were basically shooting on each other. People told me I needed to check those out, and I did. Other than that, I've not watched Raw. So, I've been kind of out of the WWE circle for the last couple of months now. But I wanted to check out No Mercy because, like I said, that Strowman-Lesnar match, it's the one match from WWE that I really, really wanted to see. It's that match and AJ and Nakamura at WrestleMania, which who knows if they're going to do that. But, yeah, I wanted to see that Strowman-Lesnar match. I was like, you know what? I'll watch No Mercy just for that match. And if the rest of the show was good, then maybe I'll consider getting back in and watching Raw full-time or watching... not SmackDown, but, you know, keeping up with WWE in a more regular fashion again. But with that, let's jump into No Mercy. I did not see the pre-show match. I have no idea. Elias beat Apollo. Are they just calling him Elias now? Did they drop the Samson? Because that's the reverse of what they usually do. They typically drop the first name and just call him, like, you know, Cesaro or stuff like that. Or TNA, I remember when they brought Christopher Daniels back and they just called him Daniels for some reason that I'll never figure out. But anyway, moving on to the main card, we started off with The Miz versus Jason Jordan for the Intercontinental title. Match was okay. Jason Jordan is not working. Like, at all. I can tell that just watching this match and the post-match promo where he lost, and just him trying to tell jokes was pretty embarrassingly bad. And no, this just ain't working. They're going to have to turn him heel, but I don't know if he can carry a heel turn. And that's the funny thing. The way the promo was structured, I thought he was going to turn heel, but he didn't, so it just came off really awkwardly. The match itself, like I said, was okay. It was fine for what it was. Miz won, which was the right way to go, and I mean, if they had gone with any other result, I would have lost my shit. But, well, I mean, unless they've got bigger plans for Miz down the road, I see no reason to take the Intercontinental title off him, especially for somebody who's clearly not working in Jason Jordan. So they've got a lot of work to do to fix whatever it is that's going on with Kurt Angle's illegitimate son. Moving on from there, we got Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. I mean, when I keep saying that Bray Wyatt is a completely ineffective heel, it's shit like this, where he beats up Finn pre-match, injures him, the match looks like it's not going to happen, and then he basically calls Finn Balor a chicken and a coward and everything else, goads Finn Balor into the match happens, and Balor just beats him anyway. So it was like the beatdown had no impact on Finn Balor's ability to beat him. And it's like, man, Bray Wyatt, he's a joke. He's a complete and utter joke. And I hear somebody told me the feud is continuing. They did something on Raw, and they're actually going to still be feuding. And I'm like, okay, Balor beat him with the makeup and in the demon persona. He beat him without the makeup while hurt, without the demon persona. What more is there to tell here? There's no more story here. It's just Balor's already beaten the monster. It's over. And, I have a hard time calling Bray Wyatt a monster at this point. But yeah, the pre-match injury and beatdown meant absolutely nothing to this match. You could have missed that part and missed nothing. It didn't impact the story at all whatsoever. The match itself was pretty much what I would expect out of these two. It's not that it was bad, it's just there's no intrigue in the Bray Wyatt character anymore, and there hasn't been for a long time. He has been booked into oblivion, and this is the result. You just get it. The fans' investment in him is just dwindling, and I mean, that's what happens when you book a guy like shit. The fans are eventually going to come around to thinking that he's shit, and you kind of get lackluster matches like this one as a result. Next up was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus Cesaro and Sheamus defending the Raw tag titles. I actually missed a good portion of this match, and it's funny because people told me this was the match of the night. I actually missed a good portion of this because I got a phone call on a non-wrestling related matter, and I saw Cesaro's front teeth get knocked out. I heard that he didn't get his teeth knocked out. His teeth got pushed up into his gum line. It's like, ugh, God, and it looked nasty. And major kudos to Cesaro for working the rest of the match with that injury. But I can't say it was the match of the night because I didn't see the full match. I didn't get a full appreciation of it, aside from Cesaro just being one hell of a trucker, man. I mean, that's like, I was like, damn, more power to you, man, being able to work through that. I did see the spot where it looked like they were setting up a Tower of Doom, but it turned into Seth being powerbombed off the top rope onto Dean Ambrose. That was a cool double team spot, but it wasn't the finish. So it's kind of like, it was just a highlight, nothing more. From what I saw, the match was fine, but I couldn't quite get a feel for it. Again, because I missed a few minutes of it. But Ambrose and Rollins retained. I wasn't surprised by that. Next up was it the women's title? Where'd the matches go? Where'd you go? There we go. It was Alexa Bliss defending the Raw Women's title against Bayley, Emma, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks. Pretty much a typical multi-person match. My ability to care about these type of matches has severely dwindled, so they all kind of look the same to me, and as I've said before, I really don't like it when title matches are used, or I don't like it when 4 ways and 5 ways are title matches. To me, those work better as contenders matches. The real shining spot in the match was Nia Jax being a monster and just throwing people around, like the double Samoan drop spot, and the bit where all 4 girls worked to powerbomb her onto the hard floor outside the ring just to get her out of the mix. Stuff like that is cool. But if Nia is going to keep shining in these multi-person matches, she needs to win them. Because the same thing happened at the WrestleMania match, where she was really the star of the match, and once she was out of it, the match kind of fell apart. It's kind of like Kofi Kingston with the Battle Royals. He keeps having these awesome escapes from being eliminated in the Royal Rumble specifically, but he never wins. He never wins the Royal Rumble. He never wins any of these Battle Royals. And to me, it's like, if you're going to have him do these really cool escape artist stuff, he should win a Battle Royal once in a while just to kind of make it look like that stuff matters. And you're not really seeing that. It looks cool while you're seeing it, but it ultimately doesn't impact anything, so meh. Alexa retained, which, I mean, like I said, I don't like 5-ways being title matches, so I'd rather have the champion just retain, because it would be anticlimactic to have her lose in a match like this. Kind of like what they did at WrestleMania, but, yeah, I mean, the match was just there. It was what it was. Next up was Roman Reigns versus John Cena. Oh boy, this one. I will say this. For the first time in his entire main event run, John Cena successfully got me to laugh. When he did the bit at the start where he was playing with the crowd and the crowd was chanting, "You both suck," and Cena was like, "You want me to leave? I'll leave." And then the crowd went, "Yes, we do." And so he was like, "Okay, I'm going to leave." And he walked out, and the crowd cheered when he looked like he was going to walk out. And I was like, that was actually funny. John Cena actually got me to laugh at something that he did in a wrestling ring. I was like, wow, I honestly can't think of another time where John Cena successfully got me to laugh. But some of the crowd reactions in this were funny. Like I said, "You both suck," and really getting hard on Roman and, kind of shitting on Cena a little bit. But other than that, it was a fairly typical John Cena pay-per-view match where he gets beat down, 5 moves of doom, finisher fest, you do the finish, and that's it. And that's it. It's like, I've seen this match 9,000 times. And the finisher festy stuff especially is getting very tiresome with... Roman Reigns kicked out of 4 AAs, including a top rope AA, when a top rope finish is becoming standard kick out material, that's kind of ridiculous. We're getting into some absurd territory here, and it was. I'm not saying the match was bad. I'm just saying I've seen this type of match so many times that it doesn't leave much of an impact on me. Roman went over, which again I predicted, so I wasn't too surprised by that. I was surprised that some fans honestly thought that Cena's bit post-match was an indicator that he was going to retire, and I'm like, he's done this at least 2 other times. He did it after he lost to AJ the first time, and he did it one other time this year. I forget who it was he lost to. I don't really care. But my point is, this is not signifying John Cena's retirement. There's no way he's retiring at a September pay-per-view. It's just, when he retires, it'll be at WrestleMania. That's just how it is. But this might be indicative that, Roman Reigns is the guy now. He's the face of the company. And apparently, I didn't see it, but in the Raw talk following the pay-per-view, apparently John Cena was all gushing over Roman. And he raised his hand after the match, which I knew they were going to do. And, that bullshit that none of us wanted to see. And, yeah, it was what it was. But like I said, there were some fun bits. It is kind of, and this is telling to me, all that action, they worked in a table bump, they worked in, 6 or 7 finisher kickouts and all of that jazz. The most memorable part of the match, and the part that entertained me the most, was the part where John Cena played with the crowd and faked like he was going to walk out. Like I said, sometimes it's the little things. It's the little things that stick out in my brain and are worth remembering. But from there, we move on to Enzo Amore defeating Neville for the Cruiserweight title, a move that seemed to piss a lot of people off. To me, the Cruiserweight division was already kind of dead, so... blah, but the match was not good. You did get that jumping top rope DDT spot from Enzo, which was kind of cool, but it wasn't the finish. That probably should have been the finish if you were going to go with Enzo winning, but instead they went with him he full on cheated to win the title with that confusing bit where he kept grabbing the belt and the referee was like, Neville kept breaking up the referee's count. If that were me, I'd have been like, all right, motherfucker, just get counted out. I'm like, fine, I win anyway. I'm like, you're stupid. But no, instead Neville looks dumb, and then, Enzo low blows him when the referee's not looking, and, new champion. I heard they did a bit on Raw in the main event segment where Enzo basically turned heel and he's going to be like the heel of the Cruiserweight division. I'm still not going to watch 205 Live, so maybe they could turn it into something. I don't know. I don't know how Enzo can work as a heel. To me, he's a better fit. Honestly, I think the guy should be a manager, if nothing else, because I think that utilizes all of his skills about as well as you can. But I mean, whatever. The Cruiserweight division, the WWE, it didn't take long for me to kind of realize it's, sadly, as far as Cruiserweight divisions go, what we've seen in the last year or so has probably been the WWE's best effort at a Cruiserweight division. But, I think back to the light heavyweight division in 97 and 97, 98. I think back to the Cruiserweight division in, like, the early 2000s. And they've just never done a Cruiserweight division that well. Oh, they also had what was it called? Like, the light heavyweight... it was like the junior heavyweight belt, the WWF junior heavyweight belt in the 80s, where they were basically just special attractions that they would throw onto the card once in a while. Nothing big and nothing special. They just could never book a full Cruiserweight division that well. Part of the problem is also, truth be told, if you look at WCW, I mean, you look at WCW in the 90s and the Cruiserweight division that they had back then, those guys were doing the things that the, guys like Hogan and even Flair were not doing. Flair's not going to get up and give you a 450 splash. But you turn on a Flying Brian Pillman match, you're going to see that stuff. That's not... Nowadays, you look at the main eventers now, I mean, Seth Rollins does pretty much anything that most of the Cruiserweights do. AJ Styles does a lot of the things that the Cruiserweights can do. There's a few guys like that. So really what the Cruiserweights offer isn't that special compared to the main eventers of today. That's another hurdle that they have to get over. Another unfortunate roadblock in the Cruiserweight division. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, moving on from there. The match was lousy, by the way. Regardless of who went over, the match was pretty bad. But then we go into the main event. The match I wanted to see, Lesnar versus Strowman. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. I was expecting something akin to like that adrenaline rush that Goldberg and Lesnar gave me at WrestleMania. We didn't get that here. I thought, you go back and you watch the SummerSlam 4-way match that they had, and all the cool stuff that they did with Strowman slamming him through the announce tables and flipping the one announce table on top of him and just throwing everybody around and all that stuff. That was fast-paced, like, high-impact, awesome, big man stuff from Strowman. Here, it was very basic. It was just a very basic paint-by-numbers match where Lesnar beat him the same way he beats everybody. He just suplexed him into oblivion and then F5'd him, and that was it. And I'm thinking, if you want to push Strowman to that next level, and I knew Strowman wasn't going to win. I predicted Lesnar would win with the small hope that Strowman would take the belt. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to watch. Just in case Strowman wins, I want to see it. But yeah, if you want to push Strowman to that next level, you got to do something like, if you're going to beat him, you got to do something big to really put him down. Like a superplex, or like when Lesnar would do to Big Show. Or I had the idea of, instead of like German suplexing him 10 times, he keeps trying to suplex him throughout the match, can't do it, and then they go outside the ring and Strowman's going to try and slam him through the table again, and instead Lesnar fights out of it and is able to German suplex him through the announce table, or something crazy like that. Something bigger than just the normal stuff that you would see in pretty much any other Brock Lesnar match. It was just it was not bad, it was just a ordinary match, and I've been anticipating this match all year long, well, not all year, but like the last 4 months or so. When I've been waiting for this match, you don't want ordinary. You want to feel like I saw something really cool, and I didn't see something really cool. I just saw something that was pretty much by the numbers, by the books type of stuff. And, oh well. And throw the fact that Lesnar wins on top of it, which is also kind of like, okay, so you just had this ordinary match, and Lesnar just wins anyway. So, like, I don't know. Didn't do it for me. Like I said, I didn't hate the match. I was disappointed by it. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. That's how I'm gonna sum that up. So, yeah, that's my take on No Mercy. It's another one of those WWE pay-per-views that was like, okay, it's not terrible. It was just kind of, Was it really worth 3 hours of my time? I'd rather watch a New York Giants game. Said no New York Giants fan ever. That's. By the way, if the Giants go 0-16, I will not be surprised, because that team is incompetent and fucking horrible. They are really fucking bad. But anyway, I digress. And with that, let's close things out with my review of Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 15. Show happened last Friday. I didn't get around to watching it until Monday, but better late than never. So here's the review. We started things off with a number one contenders match for the Ring of Honor 6-person tag titles. As I've said before, I feel like having more than one tag titles on your show is a bit overkill, especially when one is for 2-person teams and one's for 3-person teams. So you've really got to stack the rosters to make those tag divisions work. It's too many titles can devalue what it means to be a champion. That's just my take. I didn't like it when New Japan added them either. That New Japan's got way too many fucking belts. But anyway, match was Bully Ray and the Briscoes versus the Kingdom, or I guess the new version of the Kingdom, we should say. Opener was fine. It was a bit of a car wreck, a bit spot festy, but it set up something later in the show, so it was entertaining for what it was, and I enjoyed it. Bully Ray and the Briscoes got the win and set them up for the title shot against the Young Bucks and Hangman Page for the Ring of Honor 6-person titles later in the show. Speaking of Hangman Page, I love the little subplot of Hangman Page suddenly disappearing and the Bullet Club wondering where he is, and then he gets there during the 6-person tag match at the right under the wire and is able to be the Bucks' partner, but he shows up duct taped like he'd been kidnapped and he escaped from somewhere. So that's an interesting little story going on. I wonder how they follow that up. I'm legitimately intrigued. It's not common that Ring of Honor does stories quite like that, but I'm legitimately interested in seeing what the payoff is, but I'll get to that in a little bit. I'll come to that match later. Next up was the villain, Marty Scurll versus Chucky T. I thought Chucky T got way too much offense in this match. I'm sorry, but when I look at the two, Marty is the guy that is a star. He's got a look, he's got a presentation, he's got props like the umbrella, he's a member of the Bullet Club, and you got this guy Chucky T, who to me is kind of a vanilla, boring, bland type of guy. I know some of the fans were cheering for him, but I just don't see anything in him. And for him to get this much offense on Marty, and for him to be this competitive with Marty, I was kind of like, really? I feel like Marty should get a fairly dominant win over him, but that's what I would have done. But anyway, Marty got the win anyway, to the shock of no one. But yeah, I don't see enough in Chucky T to warrant him having that competitive of a match with Marty Scurll, but what do I know? Next up was Punishment Martinez versus Jay White in a Las Vegas street fight. This match was good. I like the basic kind of build-up here where Jay White is one of the only guys that's been able to defeat Punishment Martinez, and Martinez don't like it. And so that sets up this street fight here at this pay-per-view. Good hardcore match. Good stuff in there. I kind of like Punishment Martinez. I think he's a pretty solid big guy in there and has a legitimate kind of intimidation factor to him. Jay White's got a good underdog babyface quality to him as well, and I thought the match was good. They worked a thumbtack spot in, which I felt was kind of forced. Punishment Martinez had slammed Jay White onto this arrangement of steel chairs in the ring, and he slammed him on it twice. And I thought that could have been the finish right there, and it would have been fine, but of course Jay White had to kick out, so Punishment gets some thumbtacks, slams him on the thumbtacks, and that's the finish, which at least they ended it on the thumbtack spot, but it was I don't know. I felt like it felt kind of forced. Like poor Jay White didn't have to take a thumbtack bump. I felt like they could have ended it on the chairs and that would have been fine. But again, minor nitpick aside, I thought the match was really entertaining. One of the better matches on the show, and very good. Just good stuff. And Punishment Martinez finally got the win over Jay White, so that feud appears to have been concluded. Next up, we got the Young Bucks and Hangman Page, who, as I mentioned earlier, had escaped from his imprisonment, versus Bully Ray and the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor 6-person tag titles. The weird thing here to me was the Young Bucks defended the Ring of Honor tag titles later in the show against the Motor City Machine Guns. I would have thought that match would have come before this one, so that both three-man teams would have wrestled earlier in the night and be a bit more of a fair setting. I don't know. That's just me. Just a weird match order. I thought for sure that the Ring of Honor tag title match would have come first. But anyway, the match, like I said, had the entertainment factor with Hangman Page. And you also had the bit where Jay Briscoe turned on Bully Ray and set up the Bullet Club to retain the Ring of Honor 6-person tag title. So I'm guessing we're getting a Bully Ray-Jay Briscoe feud at some point. We got a payoff to some of the problems that Bully Ray and the Briscoes have been having lately. So that was really interesting. The match was really all about just setting that up. You set up the turn, which was good, and you set up the Hangman Page thing, which was also, again, I'm intrigued about seeing what the payoff is there. So, yeah, for setting up those two things, I thought the match served its purpose. Bullet Club retained, and it was fine. It was a basic, quick and dirty, get in and out, set up your angles, and go, but matches like that are fine every once in a while. I kind of think back to that one WCW pay-per-view where Scott Steiner turned on Rick and joined the NWO. The match they were involved in was all about just doing the turn, but that's fine. And here I am, almost 20 years later, I remember that match. So, don't knock it if it works. Next up was Kenny King defeating Kushida for the Ring of Honor World Television title and winning the belt in his hometown of Las Vegas. Good match. Pretty good stuff. I'm typically not the biggest fan of Kenny King's matches. I thought this one was one of his better ones. Of course, he's in there with Kushida, who's typically pretty stellar. Yeah, it was just a good match, and the title change felt like a big deal. So, yeah, that's really all there is. That's all I have to say. It was a good match. Got the job done. We have a new Ring of Honor TV champion. It's Kenny King, and that's thumbs up. Good stuff. After that was my pick for match of the night, Silas Young versus Jay Lethal in a last man standing match, with Silas Young getting the surprise win. I had mentioned in my preview that I enjoyed the build-up to this, and this was probably the match I was most looking forward to at the show, except for maybe the main event, but I'll come to that in a little bit. But these two went out there and they stole the show, I thought. I thought this was a really good last man standing match. They worked in the Beer City Bruiser in an effective way, kind of repeating the spot where Jay Lethal got injured, except Jay Lethal moved out of the way this time, and Beer City Bruiser was taken out of the equation, and they just had a pretty good, solid last man standing match, and the finish was interesting, where they're both on top of the ladder, and Silas zip ties Jay Lethal to the ladder. The ladder tips over, and they both fall through a table. But because Lethal's zip-tied to the ladder, he isn't quite able to get to his feet as quickly as Silas. So Silas Young actually got the surprise win. And good for him. I like Silas Young. He's a good old-school heel, and I like that about him. He definitely stands out above the rest in the Ring of Honor roster. He's just for his character alone, there's no one else in Ring of Honor quite like him. He's got a very old-school vibe to him, but in a good way. And I was glad to see him get the win here. Don't know where Jay Lethal goes moving forward. The feud will probably continue. Maybe they'll do something in Final Battle with it. But, yeah, just a very enjoyable last man standing match. And easily match of the night on this show. I really enjoyed it. I thought good work from these two. Definitely good work. And, hey, when you have a good babyface and a really good heel, that's where great matches happen, typically. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. Next up was the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor tag titles. With the Machine Guns finally getting the Ring of Honor tag titles. I didn't know they had never won the Ring of Honor tag titles. That's interesting. You would have thought they'd have gotten it at some point, but Yeah, really enjoyable match. My criticisms of Young Bucks matches are typically that they're very spot festy and they don't care about the rules of tag team wrestling, and they're typically just a spot festy free for all. There was a little bit of that here, but they worked in a ref bump and they did tag in and out a little bit more frequently than some of their worst examples of the free for all spot festy stuff. So I was okay with this. And the interference from Daniels and Kazarian, where all four guys worked against them to eliminate them from the match, I thought that was pretty well done and definitely got the crowd excited. That was neat. And yeah, the Machine Guns beat the Bucks and won the Ring of Honor tag titles, kind of similar to how Daniels won the Ring of Honor world title earlier this year. Kind of a similar story going there. So yeah, really good tag match, good action, really satisfying conclusion, good stuff. Just another really good match on the show. And then finally we have the main event. Cody defending the Ring of Honor world title against Minoru Suzuki, the man who answered his open challenge. Minoru Suzuki working his first match in America in 25 years. When I first heard that this match was happening, I was like, that's a really interesting pairing. I kind of want to see it. And I saw it, and I thought the match, again, kind of like Strowman Lesnar, I thought the match was good. It was not great or special, and wasn't anything worth writing home about. It was nice that Cody got the win, and I don't begrudge the champion getting a fairly, I don't want to say a dominant win, because it felt like Suzuki controlled most of the match, but Cody just was able to sneak in and get the victory, which is fine. I just thought the match it felt very ordinary when I kind of expected something a little bit flashier, a little bit cooler out of these two. But yeah, I'm glad Cody got the win. Again, not a terrible match, but one that was kind of like, if that's what that match was going to be, I would have preferred it if they closed with the last man standing match or even the tag title match, just to kind of, end on a bit of a higher note. This just kind of felt like something that, if it was on the mid-card, it would have been fine, but as the main event, it was kind of like, it was fine. Not bad, but Death Before Dishonor, not a stellar show, but a pretty good one, and I don't begrudge anybody for putting on a pretty good show. I thought it was a really good effort from Ring of Honor. Again, I really like the last man standing match. I like the street fight, and I like the tag title match, and everything else ranged from okay to average, or maybe a little bit above average. But yeah, nothing bad on the show. I thought it was just pretty good all throughout. And again, I really like that last man standing match, so check that out if you get the chance. So that's it for my reviews in this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and like I said, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me this week, so be on the lookout for that. But until then, continue to enjoy your week, everybody.